So that's the dragons.
Alright, looks like we're rolling dice to see who's going to go first.
Nils Kinder. So let's see. Sorry.
Kuhnberger starts things off with Spellbook Library of the Crescent. Lets him get 3 differently named Spellbook spell cards from his deck. He'll shuffle them up, and his opponent, Marco Ruiz, will choose one of them at random. That'll be added to his hand. He's got Spellbook of Judgment up there, along with Spellbook of Secrets. And he's thinking hard about the last one. So the interesting thing with Spellbook Library of the Crescent is that generally about 2 out of the 3 outcomes of it are favorable to you. If you get Spellbook of Secrets, great, you got Spellbook of Secrets. That's any other card in your deck. If you get Spellbook of Judgment, great, you probably have a way to get Spellbook of Secrets and start off your combos. And that's the Grand Spellbook Tower. He's chosen 3rd. So basically what he's trying to do right now is he'll want to get Judgment to his hand, play it, and then play as many Spellbooks as he possibly can. Now, while he did choose the card, it's actually done at random. You do not get to see which card you've given to your opponent. Alright, so we've got something. We don't know what it is. Everything else goes back to the deck. And Crescent goes to the graveyard. Now, he can only play Spellbook spells for the rest of the turn. All other spells are off limits. Well, Kuhnberger's deck is pretty interesting. Even though it's primarily comprised of spells and has very few monsters, he is including defensive traps, which is a strategy that we saw is very successful in the last 2 matches. One face-down card finishes off for Kuhnberger, and Ruiz is up next. Starts off with Gold Sarcophagus, banishing Blaster from his deck. Blaster's ability is going to get him a burner. And then he's going to keep track of all of the different dragons he has access to right now. Starting things off with Burner, so he's used Blaster and Burner. Sorry, Reactin and Blaster. Reactin summons Redox to the field, and you can see he's keeping track of it over on the left-hand corner. That's very considerate for the viewers at home, even if he isn't really thinking about that right now. He's got a match to play. Banishes Redox to Sacred Sword of the 7 Stars. Draws 2. And decides to use Redox's ability. That's another Redox. Seems to be tempted to set the Monster Reborn and play Card Destruction and just see if he's going to get a Super Rejuvenation to go with it. And that's exactly what he does, setting Monster Reborn and activating Card Destruction. Both players now discard their hands. There were 3 dragons in Ruiz's hand, so that'll add 3 extra draws if he picks up a Super Rejuvenation, which it appears he did not. Regardless, he still has a lot more dragons in his graveyard to work with now. Alright, Tidal is up next, and he's banished Burner and Reactant to do it. And is taking the opportunity to make a direct attack. Always a good thing to do. You gotta get the Spellbook deck out of the game fast, or else things get really ugly. Once Spellbook Star Halls start accumulating counters, and they get access to Spellbook of Fate every turn, there's not a whole lot you can do. He did pick up an effect failure off that card destruction, along with Flambeau Guard. Adds a second Speller Trap. And that's it for his turn.
Overall, it feels like it's a relatively slow start for both decks.
Yep. If we saw Super Rejuvenation, or say, if
They are
Spellbook of
so
Judgment, Spellbook
bad.
of Secrets combo went off, things would be accelerating a lot faster. Not necessarily in number of turns, but amount of plays.
There's Judgment.
Gunberger's got his Spellbook of Judgment. But does he have the Secrets as well? Not yet. But he does have Upstart Goblin, and that is a spell. So it will count, even though it gives his opponent 1,000 life points.
Cry, cry, cry.
Is that a card choice you often see in the Spellbook deck?
Upstart Goblin is a choice that you normally see in combo-reliant decks, which spellbooks are, but it has an extra purpose in a spellbook deck that it doesn't serve in other combo decks. And that is because Spellbook of Judgment counts all spell cards that are activated after its resolution.
Veiler.
So you can often see things like Upstart Goblin, Toon Table of Contents, and Toon World in a spellbook deck, even though they don't have anything to do with the core spellbook combos. It's just to add more spells to fuel Judgment and thin out the deck. Now that is Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, which was negated by Effect Failure. Grand Spellbook Power followed it up along with Spellbook of Secrets. And it looks like we're going to... Sometimes it's difficult to tell with spellbooks because you don't know if he's just doing his general searching during the turn with Spellbook of Secrets, etc., or if he's in the end phase and using his Spellbook of Judgment search. This is the latter. Finishes off by grabbing Spellbook of Fate, Spellbook of Power, Spellbook of Secrets, and summoning Jiaogin the Spiritualist from his deck, because in addition to getting one Spellbook spell out of your deck for every spell that was played during that turn, you also get to special summon a monster whose level is equal to or lower than the number of cards you added to your hand. And it's still his end phase, so he's able to play that Spellbook of Fate that he just picked up, banishing 3 spellbooks, and banishing Ruiz's Book of Moon. And also in the end phase, title returns to hand. Now, Jiaogin is preventing all special summons, which could make things difficult on Ruiz. Looks like he's got 2 monsters that could possibly be normal summoned. One is the Flambeau Guard, which does have a lot of defense points, making it much larger than most of the decks that the Spellbook deck can put out. But he opts not to do anything, plays back to Kuhnberger, and after drawing, he's activating the Grand Spellbook Tower. Spellbook of Eternity goes back to the bottom of the deck, and he gets to draw an extra card. Now, we know that he has Power and Secrets from last turn, so he has options to try to restart his combo again to load up with even more spellbooks. This might also be a time that you'd lay down a Spellbook Star Hall and start playing spells to accumulate spell counters and turn your tiny monsters into really threatening ones. He's going to go with Spellbook of Secrets. Now, he just put Eternity back into his deck with the Grand Spellbook Tower, so if he wanted to, he could get that back and then play it to retrieve Spellbook of Judgment. Instead, he's going to go with Spellbook of the Master, which lets you copy a normal Spellbook spell card in your graveyard.
Oftentimes secret, right?
Yep. Which looks like it's exactly what's
Marcos
happening
Ruiz
here.
lost.
So he's doing a great job of
so
loading
hard.
up on spellbooks, but he doesn't really have the monsters he needs yet to actually win the duel. But he's preparing for it. He's picked up Spellbook of Wisdom, which can be used to protect any one spellcaster from spells or traps for a turn. And there is the monster he's looking for. Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer does an absolute number on Dragon Ruler decks. They are reliant on using their graveyard as a second hand, and a lot of that is banishing cards to special summon Dragon Rulers, which is something that Kaiku prohibits them from doing. So right now, the Dragon Ruler duelist can neither special summon nor banish cards from either graveyard, and that leaves him without a whole lot of moves to make. This is why things like Dark Hole were added back into Dragon Ruler decks after they had initially been dropped. Because right now, about the only thing he can do is get a mass removal spell, and even then, he's not going to be able to take out all the monsters because he knows that Kuhnberger has a Spellbook of Wisdom, at least one Spellbook of Wisdom, to protect one of his key monsters. Alright, so he attacked directly, banished some monsters from Ruiz's graveyard, and has added a couple more spell and trap cards. Very impressive lineup. And unlike a Dragon Ruler deck, all of those cards mean business.
Looking at Ruiz's deck, I don't, on a quick glance, see the mass removal spell that he might need. It seems like that before side decking, this matchup is not in his favor.
And we could be in for a pretty short duel. Alright, so he's discarded Blaster, along with Flamel Guard to destroy Yugioh the Spiritualist. That is one of the moves that a Dragon Ruler duelist has available to them that doesn't involve banishing and doesn't involve special summoning. Now, Yugioh is the greater threat in this case because Kaiku doesn't stop you from banishing cards from your hand. So he's able to banish the two lightnings and bring out Tidal, even though Kaiku's on the field. What he has to hope for now is that there isn't a Spellbook of Fate there waiting for him, with enough spellbooks left in the graveyard to either banish the Tidal or just flip it face down, even.
There goes the Set Monster Reborn.
Going to bring back Blaster. And if there's a time where he's going to get back into the duel, this is it. But what did I say when I said those meant business? It doesn't get more business than Mirror Force. Things are not looking good for Ruiz in Duel 1. Kuhnberger's turn, activates the Grand Spellbook Tower, gets an extra card.
One thing that I always find amazing watching Dragon Duelists is how quickly they play.
They really do.
I have the feeling this will not go into timeout.
Nope. But there's something to be said for that confidence. Once you get older and you've been playing for a long time, you start to agonize over every single decision. And there's a lot of that you just don't see with the Dragon Duelists. They know what they're going to do. They know exactly what they're going to do every step of the way. And
they don't
just do
overthink.
it. Yep.
They don't overthink, and they're just playing and having fun.
Overthinking is killer in this game. So we've got a second Spellbook Magician searching out Spellbook of Secrets. Secrets is going to search out Master. And then we're going to see an Xyz summon. At rank 2, you get Digesto Phoenix, which can detach material to allow a wind monster to attack twice during the battle phase. Spellbook of Power, powering up Kaiku. And then we see the Spellbook of the Master being played to copy power, which means that Kaiku has a plus 2,000 attack points, makes him 3,800. Digesto Phoenix attacks twice for 14 each. And that's going to do it for Duel 1.
Wow, that was quick.
So Rizkoi could have made OTK, but I don't know why he selected to make the card destruction on this move. That's really, really bad. So they're going to start.
All right, I'm just about ready to start the second duel. Side decking is very simple in this matchup for them. Their goal is to prevent the opponent from playing their best cards in any way possible. For Marco, that means that he's going to add Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6 and 8 to his deck, possibly Light and Darkness Dragon. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Metaion the Time Lord, DNA Surgery, Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and maybe a Mystical Space Typhoon for good measure. It seems that he's dedicated most of his side deck towards this matchup, which is good because not a whole lot in his main deck can help him out here. Of course, he gets to start off Duel 2, and he will do so with a face-down Speller Trap and card destruction, much as he did in the first duel. He's discarding 4 dragons, so he really wants to see Super Rejuvenation off the top. He hasn't got it yet, but he does have another draw play to make. Oh, no he doesn't. He's drawn Horus level 6 and Horus level 8. It appears his side decking plan has backfired. But if he can still get Horus level 6 out, it'll be protected from Spellbook of Fate. And that might be enough. Now he did discard dragons, so it is entirely possible. Oh no, that's Blaster, not Horus level 8. Spanish for Sacred Sword of the Seven Stars. He draws 2. I saw Metaion in there. Definitely sided that in. And he goes and gets a burner. Now on the other side, Kuhnberg, it looks like he discarded a Gagaga Shield, which is a card from his side deck, which makes it much more difficult to destroy monsters like Jaugen and Kaiku. In general, though, Kuhnberger's side deck strategy is going to be draw Mind Drain or Soul Drain to stop the Dragon Rulers from doing their thing. Alright, next he flips up the Gold Sarcophagus that he said at first. You can do this because that's a normal spell. It's only quick plays that are treated similar to trap cards.
Yeah, because I am a noob, I don't know that I
from
can.
his deck, which allows him to go and get Lightning. He still doesn't have a Super Rejuvenation. But up next is Lightning's effect. And Tempest hits the field. Now, right now, he's probably debating whether or not he wants to summon a second dragon in Xyz Summon, or goes straight for Horus. And it looks like he is going to summon a second Dragon Ruler. This time it's Redox. Now, if you take a look, he's going to play another Gold Sarcophagus now, but I snuck a peek at his hand, and he has drawn Eradicator Epidemic Virus. So the play here is see some Big Eye, flip Eradicator as soon as you feel necessary, and strip all of the spellbooks from Kuhnberger's hand.
That looks like a really, really good start for him into the second duel.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The only thing that would make it better, really, is a Super Rejuvenation.
Oh yeah.
Here's the big guy in defense position. And 2 face-down cards will end the turn. And
There goes the
immediately in the draw
virus.
phase, there's Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Looks like he lost Secrets, Fate, Spellbook Star Hall, and Spellbook of Wisdom, but I saw a Drain Trap card in there. It was a bit fast, didn't see which one it was, but either Mind Drain or Soul Drain would both be a major hassle to the Dragon Ruler duelist, and kind of put the duel back onto even terms. So neither of them can play their strategy, then it's anyone's game.
Yeah, it looks like as quickly as the other duels started and progressed, this one is more of a defensive battle.
Alright, so it looks like he's drawn Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi's probably in there to flip Jowgen's and Kaiku's face down. That also came from the side deck.
Tsukiyomi is a card that, if I remember correctly, has been on the forbidden list for a long time and only in relatively recently made its comeback.
Yeah, over the last year it's moved from limited back to semi-limited, which is where it stands now. And actually a number of duelists in the tournament this weekend decided to play 2 of them, usually in the side deck. Even more chose to play 1 just in case. Alright, and that is, looks like Mind Drain, which means that effects in the hand cannot be activated, which is going to shut off all of the baby Dragon Rulers and any of the large Dragon Rulers that have yet to be played. I take that back, that's Soul Drain. It's Soul Drain, so cards that are in the graveyard and banished won't work.
Since we briefly mentioned the Forbidden Limited list, Kevin, you had an announcement on that earlier. Maybe it's worth repeating for our new viewers.
Sure, we can go into that. So, we were saying earlier, in case you're taking notes on these deck contents to try and replicate this for your next big event, probably not a good idea. The next Forbidden Unlimited list will be published on Tuesday, August 20th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And the new list that will be going up that day will take effect at the end of this month, but it will be applied for both days of YCS Toronto and for all of the public events at YCS Brussels, which are the weekend of August 31st. But the new list, which takes effect September 1st, will be applied both days at both of those big events.
Alright, while we were away, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer came down and had words with Ruiz's graveyard. And it looks like Mystical Space Typhoon was used on Wabaku instead of the Drain Trap. Probably because he couldn't use whatever effects it's preventing anyways because of Kaiku. Alright, looks like he is discarding 2 copies of Tempest. Lets him search for a dragon from his deck. Now it's his graveyard and his banished cards that are locked down right now and cannot activate their effects. Uses it to get Flambell Guard. Now he can still activate effects in the hand, so he's considering whether or not he wants to discard the Blaster and the Guard to destroy Kaiku.
So let's see. The German guy was really lucky. Top decking to the Kaiku. That's Sloper warning. You were playing the.
Now, one thing he could do, he's got Tsukiyomi. He could summon Tsukiyomi to flip Kaiku face down and then attack it. Kaiku's defense points are very low, low enough for Tsukiyomi to take him out.
right now he's checking something with the head judge, so seems... Is that Horus?
Yes, he's got a question about Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6. He is still sitting there with Horus, and in this particular instance, with his opponent unable to play spells and with no monsters that can really possibly beat Horus, it wouldn't be a bad move to try to get that guy on the field as quick as you can. There are still 2 more turns of the virus, so at minimum he'll at least know every card that his opponent sees. And if he's lucky, or actually not that lucky considering the composition of the spellbook deck is primarily spellbooks, his opponent might just not get any new cards for the next 2 turns.
He has already fought one turn.
Seems
turn,
that
the
situation
Kaiko
has
turn,
been
and
resolved. All questions have been answered.
If I'm counting correctly, Kuhnberger's deck has 25 spell cards naturally. He may have sided some out in place of more traps, which would be wise if you know your opponent's going to bring in Eradicate or Epidemic Virus.
why not destroying this? So drain.
Well, we already know he did that by the drain trap on the field.
Yep.
So
It's just what did he take out? That we don't know. Alright,
Why
he decided
no?
to go ahead and use Stream,
MST the
discarding.
Soldrin, then Tsuko the
Sandbell.
Kiko, and then just win.
It's going to get a title out of the deck.
He just
Judging by the way things are going, I've got to guess that the question about Horus was whether or not its effect is considered to activate in the graveyard during the end phase. Because it looks like what he's going to do is tribute his title for Horus, and then attack Kaiku
exactly right.
to fulfill the condition, which will let him, in the end phase, send Horus to the graveyard to bring out Horus level 8. And that will pretty much be all she wrote for this one.
So what exactly? Why exactly is that?
Well, the question, Horus Black Flame Dragon level 8, its ability allows you to just negate any spell card your opponent plays. All the time. And if your deck is primarily made of spell cards, and the only way you're going to get monsters that are bigger enough to win is with those spell cards, then you're out of luck. What Kuhnberger would have to do to get around that is draw into one of his Jaugen the Spiritualists naturally, and have another card in hand to discard for it at random. That's about the only out I can see. It appears he didn't do that. Horus is here. 2 dragons are being banished to summon Blaster from the hand. And it just looks like Kuhnberger got the wrong drain trap in this one. The combo of Kaiku and Mind Drain would have been truly devastating.
so okay. Now I understand.
We can do some quick calculations. Looks like he's trying to see if he can take out all 6,500 life points this turn. 23 and 28 isn't going to do it, but when you add in another 1,800 from Reactan,
Too far.
it's enough.
Yeah, looks like that was Duel 2.
And Ruiz evens up the score at 1-1.
Yugioh. So let's go to game 3. Deciding differently. Let's go for the next game. So now spellbook starts, but the dragon has a lot of hate. The dragon guy sided in linear surgery, so at least that was told in the coverage. So let's see what will happen. I hope dragon wins. Dragon is the best deck. Spellbook is just stupid. So, pum 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 pum. The judges shuffle. Yes, the judges shuffled before the game, but not in the middle of the game. That's no real sense. Redraw. The Hunt of the Dragon guy is not
All right.
so... Oh, card destruction.
Duel 3. Kuhnberger gets to start off,
He draws the card destruction like a drag.
and he starts with Kaiku. And a pair. Just a pair? Or 3 of a kind face down cards?
Does the spellbook deck get less consistent with its primary combo after side decking normal?
Yes. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people shy away from it. It's like, as we've observed here, it's kind of, 1 in 4 people play spellbooks, and it's kind of a risk, even though it's just incredibly powerful. And a lot of times, if you get rolling, there's nothing that can be done about it. There's also the fact that it has, huge one-card weaknesses like Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and if you want to shut down the other deck, you have to reduce the consistency of your own. And that kind of defeats the purpose of playing the spellbook deck, is that it gets its combo every game.
So basically, your chances of going up 1-0 are really good, but then you have to fight to get the second win.
Yep. Basically, you're going to win game 1 a lot, and take your chances with the rest. All right. For the third game in a row, we see the card destruction play, along with a set Gold Sarcophagus for Blaster. And Blaster's effect is going to get another Blaster. Everything squared away, shuffle-wise. Nope, not yet. Okay, good. And next up is going to be... Didn't see what he discarded, but he's activating Lightning's effect. It's a red dragon, one of the fire ones, to bring a Tempest out of the deck. Now, he can't banish cards from his graveyard. So next he is... That's a Reactant and a Redox. Being discarded for Redox's effect, special summon Blaster back from the graveyard. So it was the Blaster that he discarded for Lightning. That gives him 2 level 7 monsters.
So you can't activate anything in the graveyard, but you can still access cards in the graveyard.
He cannot banish cards from any graveyard.
Ah.
Alright, we've got Big Eye. And we'll see if Big Eye takes control of Kaiku. It does. Neither of those face-down cards could help. And the traitorous Kaiku is now working against its former master. But Kuhnberger saw the Eradicator epidemic virus coming a mile away and destroyed it with Mystical Space Typhoon during the end phase. Grand Spellbook Tower is in play. He's got a spellcaster in the graveyard, so he will be able to use the effect next turn. A couple more spell and trap cards face down, and it looks like that's it for Kuhnberger's turn.
Another thing that is, to my impression, drastically different than in previous years is that decks like Spellbook now actually use continuous spells and trap cards, whereas in the past that was a little bit frowned upon.
Yep. It helps that those spells have the spellbook name, which is important for powering up your other cards and searching them out, but it also helps that the cards themselves are just extremely good. The Grand Spellbook Tower, not only does it essentially let you draw 2 cards a turn instead of 1, also if your opponent destroys it, then you get to special summon a spellcaster from your deck whose level is equal to or less than the number of spellbook cards, or spellbook spells, in your graveyard. And since the tower itself is 1, you're always going to get something out of it, provided you play monsters of the correct levels. Back on Reese's turn, he's got a blaster in play. Makes a hit with Kaiku to take the spellcasters out of Kuhnberger's graveyard. And that's important because you need a spellcaster either on your field or in your graveyard to get that extra draw that the
So
Spellbook Tower
now
grants you.
he needs the comeback.
That's a big swing in life points. Big Eye, staying in defense position. He probably doesn't want to walk into Mirror Force again like he did in the first duel. But that's still plenty of damage. 28 and 18, 46.
Hey! Why? Stop.
It looks like all Kuhnberger's got for this is another face down card and blaster back to the hand.
And really looks like Ruiz has taken control of this duel.
Yep. Took control of that Kaiku and took the game right with it right now. And that was his blaster that he banished with Gold Sarcophagus back on the first turn of the duel. So now he's got a pair of blasters in his hand. And he's discarding one of them along with a burner to destroy the face down Book of Moon.
And that's game.
Yep, and that's about it. That was the last defensive option.
And Dragon Twins.
And Marco Ruiz takes third place, 2-1.
Shit, it was third and fourth place. So, stop this.